Hey guys, Jameson Redding here with the Road Trip Angler, and I want to walk you through a great knot for connecting two lines of different diameters together. So this is called the Alberto knot. This works really well when you're connecting braid to say fluorocarbon leader or monofilament. And I really like this knot, especially when I'm fishing for big game offshore and I'm using something like an 80-pound or 50-pound braid and going to like an 80 or plus pound leader material. So this is called the Alberto knot, and here's how you tie it. The first thing you want to do is take your leader material, which is typically going to be your monofilament or your fluorocarbon and the larger diameter, and double that up on itself, creating a loop here at the top. Then take your braided line or smaller diameter and feed it through that loop that you've created. Now you want to make sure you have plenty of slack here because you're going to be wrapping down the line 7 times and then back up across itself. So you don't want to get back to the top and not have enough of your tag end to pull it through. So starting there, I'm going to just kind of pinch that at the top and start wrapping down the line 7 times. Once you get down the line 7 times, you're going to wrap it back on itself towards the top 6 or 7 times, depending on how much you have room for. And then you want to finish. If you see here, the line comes through and on top of this loop before it starts to wrap. So you want to finish going back through on the same side. So I'm going to open this loop up a little bit here. I'm going to feed this line through there. So it should look something like that. Then you want to grab your tag end and the main line and just start cinching that really tight onto that line. You can kind of pull this down on itself. So just slip that down nice and tight. Again, grabbing your tag end and pull that. And now that is your Alberto knot. It's super strong and it's going to cinch down on itself. So again, if you're using a really small diameter braid, you can actually increase those wraps from 7 to say 10. And it won't hurt that knot at all, and it doesn't add any more diameter to it. But whatever you do going down, do the same amount of wraps going back up before you feed it through. And now you can trim these tag ends off super close. You've got a really strong knot that's going to allow you to connect 2 lines that are much different in diameter and 2 different materials. So typically braid to fluorocarbon leader is what I would use this knot for. And while I do use the uni to uni knot on most of my smaller tackle, like 30-pound and under braid to say 20-pound and under fluorocarbon, when I start to get up into 50-pound and larger braid, that's when I would use this knot in place of the uni to uni, because it's going to be a much smaller diameter here at the knot, and I just have a lot more faith in it on that heavier tackle. And the uni to uni is a great knot, but I use that on the smaller stuff, and I use this on the larger pound test line, the Alberto. To show this in a real world scenario, I have some 30-pound test braid and some 20-pound fluorocarbon. Again, typically I do this with larger lines than this, but I'm going to show you how to do it. Create the loop with the fluorocarbon, pass the braid through, making sure you have enough to wrap down at least 7 times. I'm just going to pinch that at the top and start wrapping down. Now that you have it wrapped down 7 times, wrap back up. And pass the tag end back through the loop on the same side that you came out. So it should look something like that. Holding the tag end and the main line, start to cinch that down. Again, it always helps to moisten the knot to help it slide smoother. That is the Alberto knot. So now the last thing I have to do is just trim my tags. And as you can see, that is a very small diameter knot. It's going to pass through the guides if you need to reel your leader through the guides. It's great for connecting line that has different thicknesses or diameters, or that they're 2 different materials. Quickly break it down step by step. This is the Alberto knot. To start with, you want to create a loop. That's step 1. In your larger line, your leader material. At the top of that loop, you'll take your braid or your smaller material and feed it through. That's step 2. And make sure you have plenty line to be able to wrap down this 7 times as a minimum and then back up. So don't worry about having a lot of extra line here. So step 3 is going to be to wrap down this at least 7 times. Alright, once you've wrapped down this 7 times, step 4 would be to wrap back up over top of what you've just done 7 times. Step 5 is making sure that your tag end is on top again. Pass it back through the same way that you came out to begin with. There we go. So it'll look something like this. Grabbing the tag end and your main line, you want to start cinching this down, and then you can actually grab this knot and kind of cinch it as well when you're doing all that, just to make sure that it's good. And the final step is just to trim your tag ends. And there you have it, the Alberto knot. To see how to tie all these knots, be sure to check the links in the description and check out our channel at the Road Trip Angler.